All right, Jimmy D here. I was going to post a long coffee trip post about utilizing Gemini and ChatGPT just through voice, interactive voice, which is pretty cool. And I might even record some of it today. But I just got done posting my update video for NoodleNet, and I want everybody to know that I made some changes and stuff, but it came to me. I was reading some comments, not on the video or anything like that, but I posted to some groups on Facebook, and I wanted to open up discussion. I wanted to meet with small businesses that were interested in using AI, and so I'm trying to find the way of doing that and not sounding like the salespeople that are doing it all over groups, whether it's Facebook group, LinkedIn, kind of starting to see it now everywhere. Everybody's an AI expert. And listen, you don't know me from Adam. You can look up my LinkedIn, you can look up my credentials and stuff like that, but still, you don't know me from Adam. So I just going out there and bluntly saying that, immediately I'm starting to get the negative responses. And one thing that I'm seeing, and I'm trying to pursue it in the manner that I always try to, in a calm and gentlemanly way. But one thing I'm seeing is that everybody's treating AI in a blanket way. They're just thinking of it as generative AI. And again, that's generalizing, and I'm sure people in there have as much knowledge as I do or more. Somebody mentioned that their husband's a PhD and all this stuff, blah, blah, blah. But in general, I start seeing that everybody has a blanket understanding of AI, and they automatically are against it. And that's sad. And the reason why that's sad is because I have the luxury of a few years on my saddle. And from that, I pull up my decision-making tool and my little hat. And I pull from that. You see, when I was a kid, I had the luxury of going through the birth of the PC, or the birth of the home computer. And I lived in a trailer in Maine. We did not have a lot of money. As my father would say, we didn't have a pot to piss in. And that was common during that time period. But my parents, and I don't know how or whatever, my parents bought me a computer. It was a Timex Sinclair 1500, and from that day on I stopped playing video games. And so it was 80, I don't remember, 82, 83 was the crash. So anyways, from that point on, I stopped playing video games, and I was a programmer. And at that point, I was a business programmer, even at that age. I wasn't very good at it, but I was a business programmer. Then I was in school, middle school, I think it was. We called it a junior high. And my town didn't have a pot to piss in. They had been ravaged by the mills closing. Look at Sanford, Maine. There's like a movie on it and all that stuff. And but they couldn't afford those shiny Apple IIe computers in every lab or every school. So we got Tandy color computers, and that actually ended up being my next biggest computer. But we got Tandy color computers, and in 8th grade we learned things, and it's where I really first started learning structured programming and getting into that. Then I had the luxury of working for the same school system when the internet became public and people really started getting into it. And I had the opportunity to be a technical educator and work with elementary school children about how to use the internet resources and computers and technology, and with laptops and things like that. And the one thing that each one of those scenarios had in common were adults who were smart enough to say, wait a minute, this technology, we don't understand it. And honestly, I don't think a lot of them liked it. I know my parents didn't really know anything about computers, and I'm not sure they didn't dislike it or like it. But I know in the schools, there were groups that just did not like the computers. Like, well, they need to learn how to write, and they need to learn how all this stuff. And I'm not arguing left or right on the merits of their argument or the argument against the internet, but we had a more public argument about internet during that time period. Like, well, we don't need that. Stores always have the brick and mortar. That's the way it's going to be. Look where we are now. Those adults sat back and said, we don't know how this is going to turn out. We don't like it. We don't like how it feels. We don't like how uncomfortable it makes us feel. That was a big play in it. They were very uncomfortable. They weren't educated in it. They didn't know what was going on. They didn't have control. Nothing wrong with them. They were all brilliant people, all influencers in my life. But they didn't know. There wasn't a lot of information out here. Do you see a pattern? So I ask everybody. First off, I ask for people on my side, people who are trying to train, trying to get into the industry, trying to share this journey. Let's share the journey. Let's share successes. Let's share ways AI is helping people, and not just the blanket generative, hey, this is going to create fabulous pictures for it. It's going to totally write your content for you, and it's going to solve world peace. It's not a black box that's mysterious. You got to find ways that it helps. Like, for example, I think there was one of the arguments about nurse students using it in nursing school and are learning how to use it in nursing school. And don't get me wrong, I didn't really dig into the conversation, and I'm sure they had some legitimate argument of it, maybe the similar argument that people are having with high school students using AI in the classroom. But they said, isn't that scary? You know, just to make this fear statement. And I'm going, I was in my doctor's office, who I trust. She is awesome. And I was in my doctor's office, and she goes, do you mind if I use AI to record our conversation? And of course I said, sure, no problem. She is brilliant. She's a doctor. There's 2 doctors in my life that I've actually respect, and she's one of them. And she was able to interact with me, talk with me. I mean, she's from, I want to say she's from the hills of Virginia or whatever, so she's got that draw and stuff, and the drawl and always makes it pleasurable. And but she was able to interact, she was able to talk with me, she was able to just be there with me. That's one example of where AI can be used, and it's awesome. I use it when I talk to people. If I'm sitting there working with somebody, I make sure, hey, is it all right if I record this? And right now, it used to be kind of odd. People wouldn't want it, but now it's like, yeah, sure, not a problem. And I'm able to record everything I say. I'm able to record what they say. I don't have to write notes on what their issues were, what some of their challenges are, what their pain points are. And I can go back and I can actually deliver them and show, listen, I paid attention to, not only did I pay attention to you during the conversation, but I paid attention after the conversation, and here's what not only can we do for you, and here's some things that you might want to do for yourself. That's AI. Those parents, those teachers, those educators, they saw its value. They didn't understand it, they saw its value. You need to see its value today. You need to pay attention to it. I don't want to be that guy pointing the finger, but apparently I am in the video. You need to pay attention to it, because it's going to affect your lives, not just your children's lives. Not like if it affected us. My parents knew it was going to change my life. It did. Dramatically. AI is going to affect everybody's life. AI is neither good or evil. It just is. It's how you use it and what you use it for. Anyways, that's my rant for today. This is Jimmy D. I'm on a long coffee trip to, again, I don't know where the hell. Peace out.